Welcome to a new deep dive. Today, we're cracking open a stack of your sources, articles, research, personal notes, all focused on a place where history isn't just studied, it feels, well, alive all around you. Greece.
Yeah, absolutely. And our mission for this deep dive is to go beyond just listing facts. We're really here to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight from this material you've given us.
Kind of a shortcut, right?
Yeah, exactly. A shortcut to understanding Greece from its, ancient past right up to its vibrant present.
It's a place rightly called the Cradle of Western civilization. And what your sources really seem to highlight is how that history, those myths, that culture, they aren't just tucked away in museums.
No, not at all. They're woven right into the fabric of the landscape, the cities, even just the feeling of being there.
So true.
The material makes it so clear you can't really separate the ancient from the modern in Greece. Every ruin, every island view, every city street, it tells a story that connects you back through millennia.
Okay, so let's unpack these sources together then. We'll journey through the layers of time and geography your material explores. Ancient power centers, dramatic islands, significant mainland sites.
All guided by what these sources are telling us is most important.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this.
So to really grasp modern Greece and the sites we'll talk about, the sources consistently emphasize that we need to understand its deep past. We're talking way back, starting in the Bronze Age.
Yeah, your material points first to the Minoans on Crete, active from, around 2000 to 1400 BCE?
Roughly, yeah.
And what's fascinating there is how your sources describe them. I mean, this incredibly advanced, sophisticated civilization for their time, complex art, architecture, extensive trade networks.
Way before mainland Greece really got going in the same way. They set a really high bar.
Definitely.
And then came the Mycenaeans, more in the mainland, from maybe 1600 to 1100 BCE. The sources mention their grand palaces like Mycenae itself and these monumental tombs. It signals a different kind of power structure, maybe a bit more martial.
Yeah, perhaps. But what really coins the framework for so much of what we see today, at least according to your research, is that classical period, that incredible burst of activity, 5th and 4th centuries BCE.
Absolutely. Athens, as described in these sources, becomes this, unparalleled beacon. This is where democracy was born, where philosophy just exploded with figures like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle.
And theater,
Yeah.
Sophocles, Euripides.
Right. Dramatic arts took shape. And the construction of the Parthenon is highlighted naturally as this crowning achievement of the era. It symbolized Athens' power and cultural zenith.
And that Greek influence didn't just stay put, did it? The sources talk about Alexander the Great's conquest later on, 4th century BCE.
Yeah, aggressively spreading Greek culture, language, ideas across this vast empire. It left a huge Hellenistic legacy that shaped the whole ancient world for centuries after.
So even after Greece fell to the Romans, 2nd century BCE, your material notes something really crucial.
Which?
That Greek culture didn't vanish. Not at all. Instead, it deeply influenced Rome itself. It became like a vital part of the Roman Empire's intellectual and cultural life.
Oh, completely. Latin adopted Greek words. Roman art often copied Greek forms. Greek philosophy remained absolutely central. That adaptability is key.
Right. And then moving forward through time, you have periods like Byzantine rule, centuries under the Ottomans.
A long period, yeah.
Until Greece fought for and finally gained independence in the 19th century.
And what is truly an important nugget from these sources, I think, is understanding this deep, continuous historical layering. It's not just ancient history in a vacuum.
Oh, no.
It's how that ancient foundation interacted with all these subsequent empires and struggles that creates the complex national identity and the pull that brings visitors today. It gives crucial context for pretty much every site.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's start our exploration of specific places by diving into Athens, highlighted in your material as this dynamic heart where antiquity beats right alongside modernity.
And the absolute core of Athens, as your sources really emphasize, has got to be the Acropolis. It's not just, a hilltop with old buildings.
No, it's framed as the symbolic and physical crown of the city, a place where history feels, vividly present.
Exactly. And your material points to specific structures on the Acropolis and why they matter. The Parthenon obviously stands out, not just for its architecture, but as this powerful statement of Athenian identity, devotion to Athena during their golden age.
And the Erechtheion is highlighted too, right, for its unusual design, the connection to older myths, like the contest between Athena and Poseidon.
Embodied by those unique caryatid figures, they're not just decorative columns.
Yeah, they're incredible.
So these aren't just ruins. They're described as a direct bridge connecting us to the beliefs, the artistic values, the political pride of ancient Athenians.
And the nearby Acropolis Museum is noted as pretty essential for putting those fragments into a clearer picture, showing you the color and detail that once adorned these sites.
Definitely worth the visit, according to the sources.
But step off the Acropolis Hill, though, and Athens transforms. Your sources describe it as this bustling modern European capital stretching out beneath the ancient citadel. That contrast itself is part of the experience.
Oh, absolutely. And walking through districts like the Plaka, nestled right at the foot of the Acropolis, your material notes how genuinely the old and new worlds meet there. It's a maze of narrow streets,
Shops, cafes,
built right on top of ancient foundations. History is literally under your feet.
and other nearby sites mentioned, like the Odeon of Herodes Atticus, that ancient Roman-era theater that's still used for performances today,
Amazing acoustics, apparently.
and the Sanctuary of Dionysus, where Greek tragedy and comedy basically originated. It underscores how fundamental theater and communal gathering were to Athenian life. Shows the depth of their culture, their religion.
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. The insight here is how Athens isn't trying to, hide its past, but actively builds upon it. It creates this city where ancient legacies are part of the daily rhythm. It's not separate.
Okay, now, from the mainland hub, your sources whisk us away to the iconic islands. And the material makes it really clear there's incredible diversity, even just within these Aegean and Ionian gems.
For sure. And one that features prominently, unsurprisingly, is Santorini. Your sources describe it as a place of dramatic, almost improbable beauty, fundamentally shaped by its volcanic history.
That famous caldera view.
Yeah.
It's a constant reminder of that explosive power and then, rebirth.
Absolutely. Those images of whitewashed villages like Oia and Thera just clinging to the cliffs framed by blue domes against that deep blue sea. They're iconic for a reason.
Yeah, the geography basically forces that unique vertical style of architecture, doesn't it?
It does, and it's not just the views. The volcanic landscape gives rise to really unique beaches like the red and black sand beaches.
Right.
And it even influences the local agriculture, particularly the distinct Asurtico wine that's grown in the volcanic soil. It has a very specific character.
But what your sources add, beyond just the stunning scenery, is that layer of ancient history. The site of Akrotiri is described as this preserved Minoan town.
Buried by that massive eruption around 1600 BCE, like a Pompeii of the Aegean almost.
Exactly. It's a glimpse into a thriving Bronze Age society, frozen in time. Remarkably preserved frescoes, artifacts. It offers this poignant contrast to the island's lunar dramatic history.
So why this matters, according to the sources, Santorini is presented as more than just a pretty postcard. It's a testament to this powerful interplay of nature's destructive force, human resilience, and deep, deep history, all visible in one place.
Okay, shifting to the largest island now, Crete. Your material calls it a place where myths were born and history was made, particularly as the heartland of the Minoan civilization.
And the key site highlighted here, of course, is the Palace of Knossos. Your sources describe it as the sprawling center of Minoan power around, say, 1450 BCE.
Known for its elaborate frescoes, that complex architecture often described as labyrinthine.
Right, and its deep association with the myth of King Minos and the Minotaur. Now, the myth is fiction, obviously, but the sheer complexity of the palace layout, you can see how the idea of a labyrinth took hold.
Sure, but Crete is also a place of immense natural beauty, which your sources definitely mention. From that dramatic trek through the Samaria Gorge,
Which is supposed to be incredible.
to stunning beaches like Elefonice with its unique pink sand. It suggests the island offers real adventure alongside the history.
And the food. The food on Crete is consistently highlighted in your notes.
Yeah.
Described as a true feast, deeply rooted in local produce and history.
Emphasizing fresh, simple ingredients, right?
Exactly. And a focus on communal dining that really speaks to the island's cultural identity. It's presented as more than just sustenance, it's a celebration.
Your material also brings up Chania in Crete, calling it a beautiful city with a distinct character, particularly its Venetian harbor.
Yeah, it's highlighted as a place where centuries of different rulers, Venetians, Ottomans left their architectural mark. It creates this really rich blend of cultures you can see in the buildings and just feel in the atmosphere.
The Old Town Maze and the iconic lighthouse are central to its charm, apparently. And nearby beaches like Balos and Falasarna provide access to those crystal clear waters everyone talks about.
Plus, the tavernas and the market are noted as places to experience that famous Cretan cuisine firsthand.
Now, one poignant site mentioned just off the coast of Crete is Spinalonga Island.
Oh, yes, a very different vibe.
Your sources delve into its history, first as a Venetian fortress, but then later, tragically, as one of the last leper colonies in Europe, operating until 1957.
It's described as a place of reflection, really, where the well-preserved buildings quietly tell stories of isolation but also resilience and hope. It sounds quite moving.
Moving back to the Cyclades again, Mykonos is featured, often known for its, let's say, cosmopolitan energy.
Right. Your sources describe that striking, visual, dazzling white building set against the blue Aegean, especially those iconic windmills overlooking Mykonos town.
Mykonos town itself is described as a delightful labyrinth. And Little Venice, those buildings right on the water, specifically called out for picturesque sunset views and a lively atmosphere, blending sea and sky.
And the diversity of its beaches is noted too, from quieter, maybe more family-friendly coves to world-famous party spots.
Like paradise and super paradise.
Exactly. Your material shows there's kind of a Mykonos for different moods and preferences. It highlights its multifaceted appeal beyond just the nightlife.
It's not just one thing.
No. While it definitely has that vibrant energy, stylish boutiques, galleries, there are still serene chapels and quiet corners to find too.
Okay, and Rhodes, the island of knights. Your sources say history is etched into every stone there.
Yeah, the medieval Old Town, a UNESCO site, is a huge focus. Described as a mosaic of epochs ancient Byzantine, the Knights Hospitaller.
The Street of the Knights is mentioned specifically, like stepping back in time. Cobblestones telling stories of chivalry, conquest.
And the Palace of the Grandmaster, this fortress of history filled with tales of glories and intrigues. You also have the connection to the Colossus, one of the Seven Wonders, even though it's long gone.
But Rhodes isn't just the old town, right? These sources mention beaches too.
Oh yeah, Azure Waters, Golden Sands, Sambica, Presunici, Anthony Quinn Bay are named. And the Valley of the Butterflies, a unique natural wonder.
And Lindos on Rhodes gets a special mention too. It seems to blend history and scenery dramatically.
It does. You have the Acropolis perched high on a hill overlooking the village and the sea, ruins from ancient Greece like the Temple of Athena showing its long significance.
And below, those traditional white houses, narrow streets. Apparently you can take donkeys up to the Acropolis.
That's the classic way, yes. And St. Paul's Bay nearby, this beautiful beach with clear waters and a supposed connection to the Apostle Paul, adding another historical layer.
Then there's Corfu, the Emerald Isle in the Ionian Sea. Sounds quite different.
Very different landscape, much greener. Olive groves, cypress trees meeting azure waters. Its old town is also UNESCO listed.
A tapestry of narrow streets, Venetian architecture, the Liston, those Parisian-style arcades, and the Spianata Square are highlights.
And beyond the towns, it's a haven for nature lovers. Rugged coasts like Paleokastritsa with monasteries overlooking the sea, and the Corfu Trail for hikers.
And the food scene reflects its history too. Greek, Italian, French influences.
Exactly, a testament to its storied past under different powers.
What about Zakynthos? Also Ionian?
Yes, described as a sanctuary of natural wonders. Turquoise waters, golden sands.
The big one there is Navajo Beach, right? The shipwreck beach.
That's the iconic image, yeah. Shipwreck Cove, towering cliffs, and the blue caves nearby, known for the spectacle of light on the water.
But it's also important ecologically.
Very. It's a haven for endangered loggerhead sea turtles, the caretta, especially in the protected Laganas Bay area. Shows a focus on preserving nature's delicate balance.
And traditional villages inland, olive groves, vineyards, plus a unique musical heritage.
Yeah, the sources mention the local cantates, traditional songs, filling the air, a rich cultural layer too.
Your sources also briefly touched on a few other islands, giving specific little insights that stood out, like Hydra.
Yes, Hydra is highlighted not just for beauty, but for its unique character defined by the absence of cars, relying on donkeys and boats.
And your notes connect this directly to its history as a seafaring power, and its appeal to artists seeking this preserved, almost timeless atmosphere.
Exactly, it forces a different pace of life.
And Patmos, very different again.
Yeah, specifically mentioned for its significant spiritual history, linked to St. John and the Book of Revelation. The Monastery of St. John and the Cave of the Apocalypse are central pilgrimage sites.
So it emphasizes the island's role as a tranquil haven for religious reflection, quite different from, say, Mykonos or Santorini.
Absolutely. Different vibe entirely. And there were others mentioned briefly: Sami's architecture, Naxos's agriculture, Kephalonia's caves, Milos's geology.
Paros, Skiathos, Tinos with its marble crafts and pilgrimage site.
Amorgos's rugged booty, Andros's greenery. The list goes on.
So, if we connect this to the bigger picture, what these islands, from Santorini's drama to Crete's depth to Hydra's timelessness to Patmos's spirituality, what they reveal in your sources is that Greece is just far from uniform.
Definitely. Each island is its own world, really, shaped by its unique geography, its specific history, and a distinct spirit.
Okay, now let's shift back to the mainland for a bit, which holds its own collection of marvels, from ancient spiritual centers to natural wonders.
And Delphi features prominently in your material. Located dramatically on the slopes of Mount Parnassus, considered the center of the world, the Omphalos.
Home to the famous Oracle of Apollo.
Right. Your sources describe the sacred way leading up to the Temple of Apollo, where people traveled from across the ancient world seeking guidance from the oracle. The ruins serve as this powerful reminder of its immense spiritual and even political influence back then.
Leaders literally made decisions based on the oracle's pronouncements, didn't they?
They did. And the ancient theater, carved into the mountainside, is noted not just for its survival, but for its breathtaking views overlooking the sanctuary and the valley. Imagine watching ancient dramas staged there, with nature as the backdrop.
Incredible. And the nearby museum houses important artifacts like the charioteer, bringing the history to life.
Which really raises an important question. Given its influence, how much did the oracle at Delphi truly shape the course of ancient Mediterranean history? Your sources definitely hint at its pivotal role.
Another place of just striking visual and spiritual power highlighted is Meteora.
Ah, Meteora, yes.
Okay.
Your material portrays it as this place where colossal rock formations seem to just defy gravity, crowned by monasteries perched impossibly high on their summits, almost floating.
Built by monks seeking isolation, right? A closer connection to the divine.
Exactly. Creating this unique spiritual haven, the sheer effort involved in building these structures, accessible only by precarious stairs or even winches back in the day, it's described as a marvel of human determination and faith.
And inside the monasteries, the ancient frescoes, the quiet interiors are highlighted as places of peace and reflection.
Your sources suggest Meteora is more than just a religious site. It's this profound example of human creativity, resilience, and that enduring search for transcendence, all set amidst a stunning natural landscape.
Okay, moving south into the Peloponnese Peninsula, Napoli was described as, well, arguably Greece's most beautiful city. Elegant, charming.
And historically significant as the first capital of modern Greece.
Its picturesque old town, with the neoclassical architecture and winding streets, is clearly a highlight in your sources. And the Palamidi Fortress is mentioned.
Both for its strategic history and that famous, challenging climb up its, 999 steps.
Something like that. Rewarded by panoramic views, apparently.
And the small island fortress of Bortzi in the harbor is also noted, once a prison, now a landmark contributing to Nafplio's scenic appeal.
Your material positions Nafplio not just as beautiful in itself, but also as an excellent base for exploring nearby ancient sites.
Right, like Mycenae and Epidaurus, which are just a short drive away.
And speaking of nearby ancient sites, Epidaurus is specifically highlighted. Your sources focus heavily on its ancient theater.
Famous for its near-perfect acoustics even today. Built in the 4th century BC, huge capacity.
But what's key here, the sources say, is understanding Epidaurus's broader significance. It wasn't just a theater.
No, it was a major healing center dedicated to Asclepius, the god of medicine. The theater was part of a much larger sanctuary complex where patients sought cures. It involved rituals, dream interpretation, early medical practices.
So it's not just about performance. It's about ancient beliefs surrounding health and healing, intertwined with the arts. Fascinating.
Very much so. It shows that link between physical, spiritual, and artistic well-being in their worldview.
Your material also touches on other mainland areas that offer unique insights. The Mani Peninsula in the southern Peloponnese, for example.
Yes, described as rugged and distinct, known for its unique tower houses.
And your sources explain these weren't just homes, right? They were fortified structures built for defense during periods of fierce clan feuds.
Exactly, reflecting the independent, somewhat wild spirit of the Maniot people. A very different architectural and cultural landscape down there.
And ancient Corinth gets a mention too.
Not just for its famous landmarks like the Temple of Apollo and the Acrocorinth fortress towering above.
but for its significant role as a powerful maritime center, with remnants of its ancient port.
Yes, its strategic location was key. And your notes also point out its importance as a site visited by the Apostle Paul, making it relevant for Christian history as well as classical history. The Bema platform is specifically mentioned.
Okay, so bringing all these threads together, from the sources, the ancient power centers, the diverse islands, the significant mainland sites, it really paints a picture of Greece as a place of just unparalleled depth.
Yeah, your material shows that the diversity isn't just geographical, from volcanic islands to rugged mountains, but it's also historical and cultural. You see the layers: Minoan, Mycenaean, Classical Greek, Roman, Byzantine, Ottoman, modern influences, all present, sometimes literally on top of each other.
It's clear from your sources that Greece offers this incredible blend of natural beauty and human history. It truly seems to be a destination that caters to almost every interest.
Whether you're drawn by the myths, the architecture, the beaches, the food, or just the sheer weight of history, it's all there.
We've journeyed through a vast amount of information based on the material you shared. Maybe take a moment now to consider what specific insight or image from this deep dive stands out most strongly to you.
Good idea.
So we've taken this deep dive into your sources, exploring Greece's incredible ancient foundations, the captivating uniqueness of its islands, and the significant marvels scattered across the mainland.
And what emerges, I think, is a picture of a truly timeless destination.
Wow.
One that has profoundly shaped the world and continues to fascinate us today.
Absolutely. As you continue your own explorations, perhaps planning a trip or just delving further into its stories, here's maybe a final thought to consider, building on everything we've covered. How do the echoes of these ancient places, the ideals of democracy born in Athens, the myths of gods on Olympus, the resilience found in places like Spinalonga or those Monte Gabbers, how do they continue to resonate in our world today, thousands of years later? Does it shape how we see things now?
That's a great question. Something to mull over as you go.